Welcome to Thousand Trails South Jetty. So when you come into this campground, you're at the top of the hill and the campground kind of meanders down. But up at the top, we have a couple of options of where you can stay. And this is the Sea Loop. Now, the Sea Loop is right on the road. So there's quite a bit of traffic just right behind me. So while this is a beautiful spot because we're in the PNW and it's green and lush and gorgeous, you can definitely hear road traffic if you are in Loop C. So the majority of this campground, the sites do not have sewer, but what is really nice is that throughout the campground, they do have these gray water areas where you can dump your gray. Now in this area in C, we found one, it's very well marked, but there are definitely ones hidden that are not as well marked throughout the entire campground. So you just kind of have to look for these little graded holes in the ground. We are currently standing in a spot in A Loop. Now A Loop is like the C Loop. It is right at the front of the campground. The road is right behind me. However, if you want to stay high and dry, this is the loop to be in. So we haven't found any flooded sites in the A Loop, and they're nicely graveled. The majority of them do have sewer, and they're marked if they don't. But here's the kicker. They are now doing assigned placement. So when you get here, they're going to tell you where they're putting you. Now, if you are not familiar with Thousand Trails, in the past, when you got to 1,000 Trails, you were able to actually drive the campground yourself and choose your own site and let them know which one you chose. Now they've switched over to what they're calling their reservation system, but you don't actually get to reserve a specific spot. You get here and they tell you where to go and which spot that they've put you in. So if you get here in off season and they tell you that you're going to be in C Loop, I would request to be in A Loop or D on the hill. And we're going to show you the other ones other than C and A so you can see why I say D on the hill. So in the C Loop that we showed you before, it is very, very wooded. In the A Loop, they've actually taken out some of the trees, so you have a little bit of sky view where if you have a Starlink, you can get some kind of access. We're in B Loop right now in the tent area. So no RVs in this area. It's just below the A Loop down the hill. It is gorgeous, but there aren't a lot of tent campers here right now because it is rainy season and not the ideal time for tent camping. But we did see a Jeep pull up in one of these spots last week that had a rooftop tent, and they camped here for a couple of days and got to enjoy this amazing, amazing tent camping area. The B area is really the most central area of this entire campground, and it's just for the tents. But right here behind me, you'll see that it's connected to A. And on this road going into A, you've got your trash cans, you've got remodeled bathrooms, and you are directly having the access of the pool, the pickleball courts, the basketball, all the fun amenities. Now I am walking down the trail that takes me from the B tent sites to the D, well, I was about to say loop, but D is actually not a loop. It is the only area in the campground that is actually just a straightaway. So if you stay on D Loop, you're gonna be lucky if you get D1 or D2 because There's this gorgeous little creek running through the woods that just you could open your windows at night and listen to as you go to sleep. It's really gorgeous. Now, while this is beautiful during off season, I can only imagine that it's a mosquito fest during season in the summer. Now, there's this bottom straightaway of D, and then there's the upper straightaway. Down in this bottom straightaway is where I showed you where the creek runs, which is on the opposite side of where I am now. And then this side, which happens to catch and hold quite a bit of water. So we are in the straightaway of D Loop on the upper portion. It's high and dry, and you'll find in this area, there are single sites like this, surrounded by woods and foliage. But then you'll also find some buddy sites. And we got placed at a buddy site, but that's okay because we had a good neighbor and we had completely open sky for Starlink. So I was going to show you the activity center that is the second activity center in this whole campground, and it's kind of private. We have loved it. It's up at the top of D. No one comes up here except for like the 6 RV sites that are here along D. So it has everything you need, but it's locked right now because we had a pipe burst this morning and they had to close the entire D loop of water. But it's back on with a boil notice. We're leaving in 2 days, so chances are we're just gonna fill our RV with fresh. But let me tell you real quick about what this has. It has a kitchen, it has tables, it has shuffleboard, board games, puzzles, anything you could need to have like homeschooling in there, a lounge, just watch movies, play, enjoy your day. So there's also pool tables in that activity center, and right outside, if you come up here to the top of the hill and this big turnaround area, you've got horseshoes right here. Over to your right, you've got a nice lawn area for the kids to play. And you have this one lone campsite. It's D13 and it's all by itself. It's like it's got this whole area to itself. Now, the downfall to this site is that it backs up to the highway, the main highway that goes into Florence. So you do hear a lot of road noise. And then behind the lawn area, you'll see there's a castle with mini golf and cars running around. There's a whole fun zone for kids that is not part of the campground, but I can imagine gets really loud in the summer. But still, a site all to yourself and an activity center that's practically all to yourself. So I am walking through E-Loop now, and I'm going to take you through here, and there's a couple things I can tell you about E-Loop. Part of it is under construction. They are removing trees that are unsafe, so they are still dealing with that. It is the wettest area. It has the most campsites, and it has the dog park. So I'm standing in E186, which we have agreed on collectively that this is our favorite site. It's a long site, so you can get a big rig back in here. You don't have any open sky because you're in glorious amount of trees. You've got little trails running for you through the woods. The creek is further back there. This is a really, really beautiful site, and you're just gonna have to come here and not care about having Starlink. I mean, it's just beautiful. If you're coming here for just a weekend, try to get this spot if it's available, E186. So if you're staying in E, you also have a volleyball court. I think my favorite thing about this right now is all the little white flowers popping up in spring. We're here and it's the second week of April. There's only a couple of little cabins here at South Jetty. And you'll find them in E-loop and you'll find them in C-loop. But I just love these big picture windows that they have right off of the living room. And then you have your own little yard over here with a picnic table, a fire pit, and you get a little grill. So the dog park here is actually pretty decent size. It's at the back of the E-loop and it has a lot of grass, which is great. It's not amongst the trees like all the campsites are, which tends to keep it a little bit more dry, which is great with dogs. So this is what I was talking about it being like a swamp. They do have a sign that says the site is subject to flooding and they're not putting people in these sites, obviously. But if you were in the site before a big rainstorm came for 6 days, which is very common in off season, this is what you would wake up to in the morning. Well, this is a mess. It's kind of crazy, but this is the construction that they're talking about. They're taking out a lot of trees that were dying and that needed to come down so they didn't fall on RVs. It's going to take a while to clean this up. So I'm standing on the deck of the activity center building, and this is the main activity center building. It's large, beautiful. There is ping pong inside. They have a big bingo board. We're not in season, as I mentioned multiple times. So underneath the bingo board it looks like there's like a kitchen where they have concessions. People have already got puzzles out on the table that you can work on. It's just a really nice hangout area. And most importantly, it overlooks the pool. So the pool is closed right now, but I would love to be here during season because this pool is huge. It's a really, really big pool. And next to it, you've got the basketball courts, you've got a playground, and there are 2 hot tubs. And y'all know I love a good hot tub. So we're in the laundry center and there's quite a bit of laundry accessible here. You've got 5 washers in the front, and then you have 3 washers in the back, and then you have this entire wall here of dryers. Now, there is a downside to this laundry. If you are here during off season, it is only open until 5 o'clock. If you're here during season in the late spring and summer, it's going to be open until 9 o'clock. So if you're here during off season and you work, chances are you're going to have to do your laundry on the weekends. Now the washers run about $2 to $2.50 depending on what kind of load you're running, but it's nice because it does take quarters, and it takes the Get Pay mobile app, also known as the CSC app, where you can just load money onto the app, scan your washer or your dryer, and just start the load. So you don't have to have quarters, but if you do and you'd like to use them, go ahead, or just get the app. So during off season, amenities are only open till 5 o'clock, and so things shut down. And with this, 2 dump stations that are here right at the front of the park, it's been really convenient for us considering we don't have sewer. However, they do close the gates here at the front at 5 o'clock. So if you come up here with your rig, you're going to have to either back it in to dump or pull in and then back out. It can be a little bit inconvenient. There is space to turn around. You shouldn't have any problem doing it. But if you do have a black tank container to pull up here, that would make it so much easier after amenities are shut down. So out of the 4 Thousand Trails campgrounds that are located on the Oregon coast, this was right up there. We really loved South Jetty, and there was another one we also really liked, and I'm going to share that with you in the future. That was our number 1, but South Jetty was our number 2. We would come back here again and again and again and again, and I have not said that about a lot of the campgrounds that we visited. We visit, we enjoy them, and then we move on to discover something else. But South Jetty is definitely one that I would return to multiple times because there is just so much to see. So I want to tell you about some of the things that we did, just some highlights, because we did a lot, but we didn't record everywhere that we went. But I do want to tell you about our favorites. And the number one for me would have to be Heceta Head Lighthouse. Absolutely gorgeous. It is just north of Florence, and when you get there, you actually hike up to the lighthouse. And when you get up to the top, before you even make it to the lighthouse, the living quarters of the lighthouse keepers is still there. There used to be 2 buildings, there's now 1. But we were just amazed at how well kept everything was and restored. It was just stunning, the views, standing there looking over the cove and watching some golden eagles fly by. And when you visit there, you just get a sense of what it might have been like in 1920s when someone was living on that coastline taking care of that lighthouse. You have to go visit it. It's absolutely stunning. On your way to visit it, the first time you see it, you're going to see a huge overlook. Stop at that overlook, look down over the side, and watch the sea lions that play along the rocks there. Now, the second thing we loved to see was Thor's well. It is absolutely worth the visit. It is right off the road. You walk down, and there's 2 things that you're going to enjoy there. Number one, when you walk down to see it, you're going to look to the left and hike down to the left. And that is where you're going to see a huge bridge structure and where water comes crashing in, making booming sounds right against that cove. And then you're going to hike down to where you can see Thor's well. The Thor's well is a collapsed cave. And so what happens is the tide comes rushing in and it rushes out of Thor's well. So if you're there at low tide, you can get close enough that you can actually watch it come up and then kind of spill over the edge. And then if you go at high tide or during a storm, you can actually watch the water come through and just shoot out of the opening of the cave. Absolutely beautiful. You have to see it. And the last thing that I would say you absolutely have to do and see is the closest thing to the campground. When you leave the campground, you take a left, and within a quarter of a mile, you are entering South Jetty Recreation Area. And you can, if you have a 4-wheel drive, you can drive on the beach, you can drive through the forest that's around the dunes, and you can drive on the dunes itself. And we just spent an entire day out enjoying on a sunny day, which was rare that time of year. I think we were there in April. It is just really stunning. And taking a drive on the beach, taking a drive through the forest with the water crossings, and then being able to drive out on the dunes was pretty surreal. So I highly recommend that if you have a 4-wheel drive vehicle. If you don't, I definitely recommend taking a tour. They have tour services there. We didn't have to take one because we do have our Jeeps. They're worth the money to get out and see it. It was just an amazing day. I highly recommend getting out there because it is a highlight of Florence, Oregon. So that'll wrap up South Jetty. We are on to our next campground, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. And I hope that you join us.